Welcome everyone to another episode of Slasher Scotty. I am your host, Scotty McCoy, and boy, do I have a surprise for all of you. I have on Zoom with me right now Joe Castro, and he is a special effects makeup artist. Did special effects for movies like Night of the Demons 3, Clown Motel 2, Uncle Sam, and the upcoming Mutilator 2, among many others. How you doing, Joe?
I'm doing pretty good. How's my audio? Can you hear me good?
Yes, you sound great.
All right, good, good.
Awesome. Yes. So the first question I do got for you is, how did you get your start as an SFX artist?
That's a great question. How did I get my start as a special effects artist? Well, I basically grew up like most young men, loving dragons and dinosaurs, and my father saw this and he knew that I really liked it. So one Saturday afternoon when he was babysitting me, when my mother was away with her friends, he sat me down in front of the TV and he said, "Son, watch this. You're going to love it." Because my father knew me better than anybody. And it was Godzilla versus the Smog Monster.
Nice.
And this was 1977. And that was like the first time I ever like watched a whole movie like by myself in the living room. My father was outside doing some work on the ranch where I grew up. And when it was done, it just changed my whole life. I was like, "What is this, Dad? How do they do this?" And he said, "That's special effects, son. They use special effects to make monsters and do that." And I said, "That's what I want to do, Dad. When I grow up, I want to make monsters. I want to do special effects."
Nice,
Yeah, that's
nice.
exactly how it went down. Yeah.
That's awesome. So I know you're working on Mutilator 2 currently. So what are you doing for that SFX wise?
Well, I'm doing a lot. That's about all I can say. I just got I posted something online yesterday, and I was asked to actually take it down. I guess they're trying to keep everything very hush hush and quiet.
Makes sense.
There's all I'm going to say is I'm doing. Buddy Cooper, the director from the original film, is back to direct the sequel, and he's written this like really fun story script that is in a lot of the same vein as the first film, and he's just really upped the ante on all the special effects, and it's just a real classic throwback to the 80s with practical effects and the slasher and everything you loved about the first film. I think you're going to find a lot of it and much more in this one.
That's awesome. And as I mentioned earlier, you also did the SFX for both Uncle Sam and Night of the Demons 3. So what did you do for those two films?
Well, I was on the special effects crew
Okay.
for both of those films, and I had a team of fellow artists that did the special effects, and were actually responsible. I had bosses and the delegated authority, and so for Night of the Demons 3, I was working in the shop with one of my teammates, and I was responsible for all of Angela's skin that melts off of her body at the end. I poured them up. I do kind of develop this. They wanted it made out of this material called hot pour vinyl, and it was used quite a bit back in the day. But they wanted to make her skin out of hot pour vinyl, and they wanted to pull it off the skeleton to make it look like her skin was falling off. And it's very difficult to paint this material. You can make it one color, but then it's hard to make it another color unless you use like permanent markers, or you pre-tint another color and add it as another layer onto that. So I kind of developed this process where I could paint the outside of her skin to look like flesh and the inside of her skin to look like meat on the inside. And just little stuff like that. I think there was a tongue that comes out of the back of a guy's throat that I built, like this 2-foot long tongue. I just fabricated it out of foam. And there was at the end, in the climax, there's like a detective in the movie or something like that. He's trying to figure out, the killing and the crimes. And he gets his heart ripped out. And I made the heart that gets ripped out. And there's this scene where a guy puts on like a devil Halloween mask, and the mask like melts to his face and he becomes like the devil. I think I had something to do with that. I'm not sure what it was. I think I may have painted it or poured up there. I don't know what I did. There were little bits of this and that, but everybody had their hands all over everything. And then for Uncle Sam, Let's see. Oh, there's a scene at the beginning of the movie Uncle Sam, and there's these two burned bodies that are on camera because of a helicopter accident, like a friendly fire helicopter accident where they were doing, I guess, like tests. What do you know, when they drills, like military drills, and the. Anyways, so I built those bodies, and I was on set very little for that, but I did get a chance to, meet like PJ Souls and work with the young man that plays the young boy in the wheelchair. I think he has some burn makeup on his face that I helped like take off on set, that kind of thing. Not as much as I did with the Night of the Demons, but I did do one thing that was really crucial for Uncle Sam that most people are unaware of. While somebody else sculpted the Uncle Sam mask, I actually put it together. Actually, the actual mask you see on the killer. I guess my boss thought, oh, Joe's not that great. Give him the mask to do because it's supposed to be easy. A little did he know that would be like the most iconic image of the whole film. And my whole career has turned out that way. I think like sometimes people will hand me something to do, thinking that no one's going to care about it, or it's not worth their time. And then I take this amazing, grateful opportunity that I've been handed. And I love it and relish it, and I am grateful for it, and I produce something in a way that no one else would have given it the same love.
Nice, that's awesome. And I don't know if you ever heard of the YouTube channel Dead Meat.
Dead Meat, I think I have heard of it. Yes.
Yep. And I had the host on my show, James A. Janice. We were talking a lot, but a lot of the he does like a lot of like cheesy B-level type of movies, like for special occasions, like for Christmas time or New Year's time, or he'll do like New Year's Eve for New Year's, or he'll do like the B-level Christmas stuff. And that's how I found a lot of these B-level movies. And I never heard of Uncle Sam until I saw his kill count on Uncle Sam. 4th of July, and now every year on 4th of July I gotta watch Uncle Sam.
I watch Uncle Sam. Yeah.
Absolutely. Great movie too. I love it. I do. And I have Amelia Kincaid, who played Angela in Night of the Demons. I have her coming on in about a month or so.
Oh, awesome. Yeah.
It's to have her on and talk about some of the special effects you did for her and everything. That'll be really cool.
Yeah, absolutely. Those are good times. It was a different time. It was almost 20 years ago. Good times, but yeah, absolutely.
Absolutely. Yeah. So are you given creative freedom on your SFX designs and makeup, or do you kind of got to go based on the director and producer's direction? Well,
that's a good question. Am I given creative freedom to create the special effects that I create? Well, it's a mixture of both. Sometimes the script is if a script is very well written, it comes with a very detailed descriptions of what is necessary in order to move the story forward. So I try to capture that as much as possible in my special effects work. And I think like the job of a special effects artist is not really to be so much this amazing artist that everybody recognizes, but to be a skilled artisan that can extract out of the mind of the director what he is trying to create. When you come at it from that way, you become like a team player, and you become like this, like basically extension of the director's imagination. And it works really well for me that way. Now some directors aren't capable of doing that, and so I try to interject my own ideas when I think it can be helpful. And then sometimes directors are like, Joe, do whatever you think, whatever you think, whatever you think works best. Recently I made a head for a director, a giant creature head, and there was already like a miniature model of the creature built for a stop motion sequence, and I built like a full scale live action head, and I didn't like the eyes that were on the miniature model. It just didn't. It was kind of. I think there could have been a better way to do them that would make the creature like even scarier and more, just more relatable and sinister. So I asked the director, is it okay if I change the eyes on the head? I think that it would be more effective. And he said, go for it. And sure enough, it was just night and day, it's like, anyways.
That's awesome. So what do you believe was the hardest design that you ever had to do?
Oh, that's a good question. It's funny because as I move forward, everything I do, it becomes more and more challenging, more and more difficult. There's some stuff I did that I produced. We haven't shot Mutilator 2 yet, but there's some stuff that I've made. I won't go into detail, but I have literally, like if I get like a canker sore in my mouth from stress, then it's difficult. And like I got a canker sore in my mouth just from one portion of this one thing. That's all I'm going to say about that. But there's some pretty intense stuff in it. And but ultimately, I mean, I think doing stuff that has to be super realistic when it's on a really tight, low budget. And I don't have really much to work with. Like, let's say, for instance, I have to build a creature suit that has to fit somebody who I don't even know what's supposed to fit, and it's supposed to be skin tight or streamlined or slim. I'm like, how do I make this thing so it's a one size fits all and have it be realistic when someone's paying me a nickel? That's the way I put it. It's like I was at the Burbank airport like a month ago or 2 months ago. It costs $6 for a bottle of orange juice at the airport now. You can't come at me with a nickel and expect me to make this amazing monster. Now I'll do my best, but it all goes down to like when you're watching a major motion picture on TV or HBO or something like that, it's easy to make something look amazing when you have unlimited money. It's very difficult to do things when you only have a nickel.
Yeah, absolutely. So what do you believe is the hardest part about being an SFX artist, and what about the easiest?
The hardest part about being a special effects artist, one of the most difficult things to do about being a special effects artist is well, there's two things really. They're equally difficult. One is making people uncomfortable when I'm gluing stuff on their face and they've been in the makeup for long hours, and then I have to do more stuff and taking the stuff off using chemicals around their eyes, on their delicate skin, this kind of stuff. And people don't really talk about it that much, but it's uncomfortable making someone else uncomfortable. And we do our best, but ultimately having something glued to your face or your skin is not always the most fun thing. And some of us are tough guys, we don't care. One time I super glued my lip to my chin to make it look like my lip was burned, and I'm like a tank. I'm a tough guy. That stuff doesn't bother me. But having to look into the eyes of somebody else and asking them to do something that makes them uncomfortable is very difficult. And then, of course, working with the next difficult thing is working with directors that don't know what they're doing, especially when you're working on a low budget. Because I have worked with many directors that their egos are so huge and they're asking me to do stuff like for pennies on the dollar. I pour my heart and soul into my work, and then they don't even know how to photograph it correctly. Or some of my best work will never be seen simply because the director had no idea what he was doing.
Wow.
Yeah, that's very difficult.
Yeah. It really is. It really is. What about the easiest part about being SFX?
Let's see. The easiest part about being a special effects artist. That's a good question. The easiest part, I don't know what part of it's been easy. It's been a long, hard road to get where I am right now.
Yeah. And that makes sense. Sometimes there isn't anything that's easy, because being a special effects artist, like you, especially with a horror movie, you're the guy that makes the movie what it is. Like if it wasn't for you, there wouldn't be death scenes or prosthetics or masks or makeup.
Yeah, I was gonna say, like the easiest part is when your job is done and the cast and crew clap, because they really do, when you do a good job, the cast and crew are very supportive on set, especially if you only have one take to do it correctly. You're carrying something on set, or the blood has to hit the wall, and then you can't do a second take because it has to be cleaned up or whatever it is. If you only have one shot and you do it perfectly, and I would say, but even that is difficult because it's such a dog eat dog world that people don't understand, don't realize that we're being, as artists, we're all kind of kicked down and pushed around quite a bit by the world around us, and taking a compliment can be difficult.
Yep, absolutely, absolutely. So do you have a specific process when you're creating something that you kind of always go back to?
That's a good question. I do have like a tried and true process when working with independent films, and how I go about structuring how I work with producers and directors and the actors and the talent. But everything comes with a variable. It all changes from effect to effect sometimes, and but ultimately, my secret is, how do you want to be remembered? How do you want to be treated? How do you want to be involved in what capacity, and how do you want I treat others hopefully as the same way I wish to be treated. And so when I go into a process, I try to be open-minded to new ideas, and I remain teachable, and I do my best. Every job is important to me. There are no little jobs anymore.
And every job also has different money that you can spend on SFX.
This is true. Yeah. In fact, one of the things I tell people is, it doesn't matter what the budget is. My work still has to look amazing.
Yeah.
So people will come at me like, oh, we're only shooting a short for 2 days. Can we, do you have this or that? And I'm like, yes, but my work still needs to look amazing. I still have to have some sort of control over how my work is presented in your film, because
absolutely.
And
it doesn't matter if the movie is 2 minutes or an hour and a half. Like that 2 minutes has to have good special effects, because somebody watching it wants to be like, oh my God, how'd they do that? Not like, oh, that was horrible.
Or who did that?
Who did that? Exactly.
Who did that? What the hell was that? Who did that? It's still got to look amazing. So
exactly. So the last question I do got for you, do you have any other projects that you're currently working on that you would like to promote to the listening and viewing audience, as well as any social media accounts, websites, or anything else that you want to plug?
Oh, absolutely. The films that you should be looking out for that I'm working on are Terror Tunes Part 4, which is a franchise my partner Steven Escobar and I have been working on and produced for the past 22 years now. We have Part 4, Terror Tunes 4 is coming out. It'll be out this year. It's going to be an amazing movie. If you haven't had a chance to see any of the first 3 films, you can find them online or reach out to me. Of course, we have a movie that I star in. I just started acting 2 years ago. Now I'm being cast in lead roles. And I just want to give a shout out if anybody's making a movie and they need special effects, but more importantly, if you need a really great actor, come and reach out to me on Facebook and put me in your film. But I'm going to be the star of a movie called Appetite for Sin, and I played this lead detective in the film, which is a lot of fun. It's directed by Matthew Vanaha, and then and it's also produced by Joseph Kelly, a good friend of mine. Also, Clown Motel, To Death Do His Part, which is the sequel to Clown Motel. Just produced by Joseph Kelly, and I have an acting role in that as well. I'm actually in the very first scene of the film, and I get a chance to do some special effects for it. And then we also have a movie called Pretty Boy, which is a sequel to Blind, and that's directed by Marcel Waltz and written by Joe Netter, and just an amazing, talented cast and crew of people. Robert Russler's in it, and Maria Olsen, and Sarah French, and the list goes on and on and on. Devaney Pinn. And I get to do all these like really cool, fun, really like how do I explain it? They kind of remind me of like this, old school Friday the 13th death kills in it. And that'll come out hopefully this year. And then there's a new movie that I shot with a really talented group of people in Florida. It's called The Beast Comes at Midnight. And it's directed by Christopher Jackson and produced by Todd Oifer and Ed McEver. And it stars Michael McEver, and I get to play the Beast. So that's coming out this year. And let's see what else. There's a whole bunch of stuff. And I know I'm forgetting. We have what's his name? I'm already forgetting everything else. The Barn 2 is coming out. I got to do reinvent all the killers for that film. I think it's going to be out this year. Yeah. So I'll have
Anything
to go
else
back
you're in,
and
I'm
forth.
sure it'll be on your IMDb. So if anybody's interested, they could just check right there, right?
Yeah, absolutely,
Yeah.
absolutely. Thank you for letting me ramble on about that. Yeah.
Yeah, not a problem at all. I mean, this is your time to promote whatever you got going on. And I mean, there's a lot of good indie projects out there and a lot of good films that need special effects and, you know, that need publicity and promotion. And they wouldn't have it if it wasn't for platforms like what I have and other, you know, podcasts.
Absolutely. And I want to thank you very much for having me on your show. What you
Absolutely.
and other people do to get the word out about our work is a very integral part of what we need and what we do here. And
Yep.
I want to thank you for your service, Scotty.
Absolutely. Thank you so much. I appreciate it. And after I let you go, I'm gonna, if I'm not too lazy, I'm gonna shave this off for my movie role I have coming up, playing the lead heavy duty man.
Right on.
Yeah, boy. Thank you so much, Joe, for joining me tonight. It's been an honor to talk to you. And I really hope you have a great rest of your night.
Thank you so much, Scotty. All right.
Yep.
Have a beautiful rest of
Thank
your day.
you.
Bye-bye.
Bye.